late. I said later. We started 10 minutes later.
Listen, let's be honest. The start time is 7:30. Okay,
It's 7:15. No, it's
it's
7:15. Like
it's 7:30.
a lint roller here. I don't like that. What's going on, guys? We are a week away. All right, a week and 1 day away from the NFL draft. All right. This is actually going to be a short show.
Yeah, gotta get
This
out of
is
here.
going this is going to be a shorter show. None of these shows are short. A shorter show. All right.
Already backpedaling, Dion.
He's a great backpedaler though. Okay. Uh, we got some Ravens stuff to discuss. Ravens and Panthers. If you watched the Ravens roundup, and I know you did on Monday, this was one of the topics, and it got me so infuriated. I said, "Guess what we're talking about on Monday or on Wednesday?" So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna be talking about the haters of the NBA, and that's about it. That's the show.
That's right.
But it's going to be a fun one. We're going to have a nice long discussion about that as we enter the draft. We'll talk some draft stuff too, probably. All right. So, are you ready for the intro?
Yeah, always.
B's always ready for the intro. All right. The show's getting ready to start. Let's go. Okay, what is going on, LBHT crew? B, what is going on?
I had a special guest lined up, but now he flaking. You know how he be.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that okay? All right.
Yeah.
Well, he's welcome to come whenever he wants to. All right. Listen, y'all, it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hope your week is going well, but if not, hopefully it gets better starting right now. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So wherever you're watching this, make sure you hit that like button, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you listen to the audio version of this, we put this out on Thursday around lunchtime. So happy Thursday. Hope your lunch is going well. Make sure you leave a 5-star review. Look, draft time's coming up. Okay. People want to know what we're going to draft. We did a mock draft. People didn't like the mock draft. We said, okay, you don't.
People like my mock draft. What do you mean?
Oh, they loved your mock draft. Yeah.
I nailed
then
it.
we said, oh, you think we should go edge? Well, let me show you. Let's show you how we do when we draft edge rushers. Oh, you didn't like that either. Didn't like that either. Well, we have another list to show you today, and let's see if you like that one. We'll discuss.
Ravens fans are incredibly high on their team for a group of people who don't like anything about their team.
We make criticisms of our teams, right? We talk more Ravens, so people think you just hate the Ravens, but you're just as critical of the Panthers. And Panthers fans do not like some of the criticisms that you have about the Panthers, even though they're spot on, right?
Maybe they should stop sucking.
I think they will this year.
I think so too.
That's
why this offense is much better.
But the criticisms that we have, people don't like to hear them. You can't really tell us how we're wrong, though. Like a person didn't like the criticism that we had about John Harbaugh and Coach's Stream. Went on this whole rant about how we don't know football, they know football.
And they got a novel in return, not from us.
Not from us.
We don't spend the time replying to y'all like that. But,
shout out to Charm City Don. The guy asked a question, said, "Hey, give me some what do you say, verifiable examples of John Harbaugh doing a bad job." And Charm City Don said, "I give you 20."
Yeah, he was just getting warmed up.
All right, let's give a shout out to the chat, man. Who's in here? Zeke Hokage, salute. Says, what's good, LBHT? I hope everyone is well. Salute to you, Zeke. Appreciate you coming through. Just Aloes in the house says, greetings and well wishes, LBHT crew. why is it that when EDC talks about Mark Andrews, I'm reminded of the Manchurian Candidate? Right, right. No 2 hour stream today, Zeke. That's for sure. There's not enough to talk about for 2 hours today. Well, we could go, but we're not doing it.
Nope.
We got, hey, what's going on, Bazel? Salute to you.
What's up,
86
Basil?
Ghosts. Appreciate you coming through. Pay the bills with the clock emojis. I don't appreciate that. Pay the bills. I don't appreciate that. Okay. We're right on time. We're right on time. We need to give you guys time to get in here. All right. That's what it is. Urban, what's good? Says, what up, y'all? What's up, Urban? Appreciate you coming through. Jared in the house. What's good, Jared Green from the Southern Ballers Show?
What's up,
Appreciate
Jared?
you. We got Big Reg, host of Big Boy Talk. Says, what's good, everybody? What's good, Big Reg? Appreciate
What's
you.
up, Reg?
Danity is here. Says that pick looks like Lamar got a weave. I know. Listen, y'all, when we're experimenting with new things, we're experimenting with AI, we're trying to be cutting edge. AI is very prejudiced.
It is very, very. I was very sensitive about black issues.
Yeah.
Those issues being if you want to make a black person or a black anything, honestly.
And don't blame me for that one. I'm blaming Hendo. I stole it from him. I look. You don't want to see my AI rendition of Lamar. That looked not good. Who else we got in here? Purple Ranger said, "I made it to the start of the show. What's good, y'all? What's good, Purple Ranger?" Who else we got in here? I be saying, "What's up?" I be saying says, "What up, LBHT?" 1 week, 1 day from my blowing my top because EDC makes a boneheaded draft pick. Maybe I'm just talking myself into it.
Yeah, you
I
are.
feel like he might make
They're
the
going to
right
take a
move.
safety.
I don't know.
They're going to take a safety.
I'm sending positive vibes, and I'm gonna say they're gonna do the right thing. And you guys, not you guys, but I think a lot of Ravens fans will be angry with his pick because it will be an interior O lineman. And
Named
people will
Malachi Starks.
and people will hate on it, but that will be the right move. That will tell me that he is starting to take it seriously. And we're gonna have to clip this. I didn't clip the stuff from last week. I might clip that and put it out there. But we're gonna clip these videos, and you guys are gonna have to send it to EDC. You're gonna have to send it to the Ravens organization so they see how they're drafting, how they're spending their money, and how it hasn't been working. Okay. We got to guilt them into doing the right thing. MDT Sports, what's going on? Says, what's up, guys? I haven't saw y'all in a long time. Well,
So,
you're here
I don't know.
now.
What's it been like a week?
I know. MDT, like, you know, these shows are. I mean, they're on a channel. You can watch them anytime.
Yeah, man.
You can
Watch the
join our
replays.
join our Discord. You got $5 in your pocket.
Join the Patreon.
Yeah, join Patreon. Just
We always around.
We're not as active on social media, but if you tweet at us.
Unless you consider Discord social media, then we're very active.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What else we got in here? Marcus Frazier, salute. Appreciate you. Tracy is here. What's going on, Tracy? He says, hello, my people. Glad to be here today. We're glad you're here, Tracy. Always happy to see you. Evil Lamar, what's going on? Says they draft a safety. If they draft a safety, I'm gonna have a lot to say. Nothing that they do will surprise me unless it's the right thing. But they draft a safety. It is what it is. Listen, Malachi Starks isn't a bad player, right? So it's not like they're getting the bad player there, but bad pick.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a bad pick. Cornerback, bad pick. Edge rusher, bad pick. Right? And hopefully those guys are really good and they are playmakers, but not the right move. All right. So we'll get into that. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss, how our teams are spending their money. Okay. Money talks. Right. All this other stuff. That's just That's just for you guys. But where's the money? Follow the money. Where are they spending their money? Where are they spending their capital? All right, that'll tell you what they're really about. All right, shout out to the Warriors Nation playoffs. Jimmy back. There you go. There you
Oh
go.
no, not
What's
not
up, Kim?
not playoff Jimmy. Whatever will we do?
Kim's in the house. Salute to
What's
you.
going on, Kim?
All right, we're going to get this show started. But first, we like to start every show with a Black History fact. And B and Nicole have a Black History fact for you.
This week on the LBHT Black History Fact, on April 16th, 1862, the U.S. Congress passed the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act, officially ending slavery in Washington, D.C., months before President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This marked a pivotal moment in the nation's struggle for abolition, granting freedom to over 3,000 enslaved individuals in the capital. Unlike later emancipation efforts, this act included compensation for former slaveholders, paying them up to $300 per freed person. One of the few instances where the government financially incentivized the release of enslaved individuals. While enslaved people received no direct financial assistance, some were able to petition for compensation, though few were successful. The passage of this law was met with both celebration and resistance. For many abolitionists and newly freed individuals, it was a sign of progress, a step toward nationwide freedom. In response to the act, Washington, D.C. became an even more significant haven for formerly enslaved people, with many fleeing neighboring slaveholding states in search of safety and opportunity. Today, this landmark moment is honored in the nation's capital as Emancipation Day, celebrated annually with parades, educational events, and reflections on the continued fight for racial justice. The legacy of this event reminds us that freedom was hard-won, and the struggle for equality did not end with the abolition of slavery. This week on the LBHT Black History Fact, on April 16th, 1862, the U.S. Congress passed the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act, officially ending slavery in Washington, D.C., months before President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. This marked a pivotal moment in the nation's struggle for abolition, granting freedom to over 3,000 enslaved individuals in the capital. Unlike later emancipation efforts, this act included compensation for former slaveholders, paying them up to $300 per freed person. One of the few instances.
You good?
I did not know it was going to start the video over. I was
Yeah,
trying to set up the scene.
nah.
So, my
B,
bad.
B said it was. I was trying to wave you down, like, hey. B said it was so nice, we had to play it twice.
Hey, 1.5. All right. Don't be exaggerating. Ridiculous.
All right. Your special guest is here. Our special guest is here.
That's right.
Okay.
And guess
Bring him
what?
up.
I am right now.
Hey, what's going
What's going on?
Hendo?
Not much. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, thanks for coming through, man. Always happy to see you.
No problem.
All right. So we're gonna make this a shorter video. We're gonna rant on this one. But you were there on Monday. We were on the Ravens Roundup. And before you guys got there, me and Coach were talking, and he's going over the list of things that we're going to discuss. I was like, cool. I'm trying to keep positive vibes going into the draft. I'm trying to keep positive vibes. Okay. and we're going over the topics, and he showed me a list, and I saw where the Ravens placed on that list, and steam was coming out my ears, man. Like, we know, right? What's up? They're giving you shout outs. They're giving you shout outs. Yes. Tay got it. What's good, man? I see you in the chat. Appreciate you coming through. We already knew. We say it all the time on the show. The Ravens don't care about Lamar Jackson. And when we say these things, people get in their feelings about it, right? We say they don't protect Lamar. They don't get him weapons. They don't really care about winning. But I hope over the last couple of weeks, we've shown you, right, through visuals that this is the case. You saw the draft list and just how horrible it really is, right? But you see where they spend their draft capital for the most part. Well, who was the guy? I forget the guy's name that put
Walter Sharp.
Yeah, Warren Sharp, not
Warren
Walter
Sharp.
Warren Sharp. Warren Sharp put out a list, most expensive offensive lines in 2025. Okay, so we're gonna pull that up here. Well, now that I guess it's here, we gotta. I gotta put a. I got.
No, it should still be
repost
there.
it. Okay, it's still there. All right. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is from number one, the team that spent the most, to the last, the team that spent the least on their offensive line. Okay. Drum roll.
95 mil.
95 mil. There
That's
it
right.
is, covering up Hendo. Number one, the Panthers, 95.3 million. That's what they're spending. This is cap, and this is the cap, right? This is cap space that they're spending on their offensive line going into 2025.
Tay guy that says, "I bet 1 million we not top 15." Well, congratulations.
Congratulations. You know what, Tay got it. Go spend your millions well, my friend. If you can't see it, if your eyes are squinting, you're looking like that'll be 10, 11. Keep looking all the way down. Just go right all the way straight to the bottom.
Facts.
32nd. Now, okay, you might say, well, the Panthers, they had to overspend for their guards. What's going on, Mr. Galloway? Salute, Dre. They had to overspend for their guards, and that's why their hit is so high, you know. But let's look at the middle of the pack, right? Let's look at the middle of the pack. You know, most of these people are spending 40 to 50 million, right? That was about 20 to 30 million dollars more than what we're spending on our O-line. $19.8 million. Yes, Evil Lamar, that is despicable.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and people will say, "Hey, you know, they have 4 guys on rookie contracts, right?" But my response to that, and we have another graph regarding the draft compensation. But my response to that is 2 of them suck. So why is that an excuse? You
Right.
needed to spend money to replace those guys, and you didn't do it.
And I don't want to hear the apologists today. I don't want to hear it, because those same people that will try to defend Andrew Voorhees, that will try to defend Daniel Falele. This is the money talk show, right? Put your money where your mouth is. Both of them need contracts next year, right? This is the last year of the contract, correct? Both of those guys.
Falele, this is his last year. Voorhees has 2 years.
Yeah, he has 1 extra.
Oh, he's got 1 more year. Oh, okay. So next year, Falele needs a brand new contract. Pro Bowl. Don't forget, he's a Pro Bowler.
Alternate.
How
Pro
much?
Bowler.
How much do you want to spend to pay Daniel Falele? Right? How many people are going to say, "Hey, you got to pay that man," or are they going to say, "Nah, he ain't worth it"?
They won't even say that about Owe, and he had double-digit sacks.
They weren't saying that about Ronnie Stanley, and if we didn't sign Ronnie Stanley, we were doomed. Right? So how much is Daniel Falele worth? Right? He's so good.
A solid 5 mil.
Right. Like when Linderbaum comes up for a contract, everybody understands he has to get paid. He's a really good center. Everybody understands that. Right. Ronnie Stanley, people didn't want to pay that because, you know, his injury history, but you don't have a shot if you don't have him on the team. Rosengarten, yes, I think a good pick. I hope he continues to play well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Voorhees is coming up the year after. I don't even think he's going to be the starter throughout the season. He'll get his shots, but I don't think he's going to hold down a starting position. But we won't be talking about him.
You got to stay healthy.
He got to stay healthy, and you're not going to want to pay him either, even if he stayed healthy. All right.
I mean, it's going to be hard to pay Lele any type of starter money because next year Lamar Jackson's contract, his cap hit goes up to $74 million. You got to figure out what you want to do with Darius Washington. Got to figure out what you want to do with Derrick Henry. You got to figure out what you want to do.
Why'd you laugh at Darius Washington?
Who's our Darius Washington?
I'm just saying.
He ain't gonna be on the team after you draft Malachi Starks.
Okay. But you still got to pay Lele.
But we need 3 safeties, B.
Sanusi Kane.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Come on, bro.
Checkmate.
We got to pay Odafe. We got to pay Travis Jones. Then we got the 2 fifth-year options coming up. So the money's going to be tight next year. So how much are you going to pay for him? Or are you going to go rookie draft pick or somebody else, somebody really cheap? You're going to sign Noah Fant and try to hold him, see if he can hold down the spot? I mean, he painted himself into a corner by not configuring this offensive line before this season. We had the same problem last year.
Look, this is also a common theme, right? Next year, money gonna be tight. We've been saying that for the whole 7 years. Lamar has been in the league. Next year, money gonna be tight. And you see this. We're dead last.
Yep.
The next team up from us spent 23 million, almost 4 million. Well, 3 million, 3 million more than us, and they truly spent some draft capital on their O line, and I bet you they spend more. Like they're trying to get better. Their O line is not good, but they truly spent some real draft capital.
But listen, you look at the Chargers. The Chargers are 9th in the league, having spent $60 million on their O line and cap hits. Right? Yeah. They have 2 tackles on rookie deals. That's the most expensive part of the line, and they're still spending $60 million.
Do you want to pull up the other graph?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So this is from first to last. You know how much total capital used to draft O-line since 2022. This is also from Warren Sharp. Now we're not dead last in this. This is the Broncos, but we are ranked 14th. Okay, so we spend absolutely no money on O-line, and we're 14th in draft capital used since 2022. And really, the only reason we're 14th, let me put that back down. The only reason we're 14th is because EDC likes to go into each draft with 9 to 11 picks.
Yeah.
All right. So Linderbaum was a first round pick. Rosengarten, a second round pick. Those are 2 highest picks, first and a second. Everything else has been.
Well, Tyree Phillips was a 3rd because he was a compensatory pick. Bredesen was a 4th. Ben Powers was a 4th.
Nick Samac was a 6th.
6th, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Cleveland obviously was a 3rd, but you know, he on the bench, so it don't really matter. And they had a couple other guys here and there, but yeah, they don't really like to use high picks. They were essentially forced into taking Linderbaum and Rosengarten. They didn't have any choice at that point. But outside of that, they just they're like, hey man, we'll throw some darts at the board every now and then, and on day 3, and you know, when they don't work out for several years in a row, then we have to use a first round pick. It's fine.
Yeah.
Perfect system.
I mean, I don't know how you guys can look at this. Not you guys. Most of you guys in the chat, we've educated you well enough for you guys to understand. But I don't know how people can look at this and say, yeah, man, EDC's cooking. EDC's doing everything he needs to do. We definitely need to go defense. Like, why do we need to go defense? Like, what 7th round hasn't proven anything in the league pick is starting on defense. It's penciled in to start. You guys don't want TJ Tampa to take the field.
Right.
You guys don't want Jalen Armour Davis to take the field.
4th round picks.
Right. Fourth round picks, but a 7th round pick. Oh, he's gonna work out. let's read some comments because I'm just I don't know what to say at this point.
And we just wanted to contrast that with Carolina, right? Because Baltimore has the best quarterback in the league. He's gotten you to the edge of going to the Super Bowl. They've been in the playoffs every year, and they say we don't need to protect him. Whatever. Bryce Young in Carolina had one of the worst rookie seasons of all time. Looked like he did not belong in the NFL at all in his rookie season. And they said, man, we better protect this kid. And went out and kind of reset the guard market, bringing in Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt. So it's a matter of priority. And what we always talk about with the Ravens around draft time is, you can say best player available all you want. You can say don't reach for need all you want. But when it's going to be EDC and Ozzy, and the people in that building making the board is always going to be defense first. That's just the way they lean. It's not like all 32 teams are working off the same board and you pick whoever comes up next. They stack the board themselves, and it's always going to be defense first. That's why you had Patrick Queen instead of T. Higgins.
Yeah, I do want to go back to the Panthers for a second, right? When they got Lewis and Hunt, like everybody knew at the time they spent a lot of money, right? And nobody likes it when you spend a lot of money on interior O-line. But what we're learning now is the Panthers got ahead of it, right? Like now interior O-linemen, the price is going up. You know what I mean? And they said, yes, we're going to pay the interior O-line to protect our young quarterback. And it absolutely paid off. Now they're set. They're not going to spend the money that some of these other teams are going to have to spend moving forward.
Right.
It's well worth it. And I don't like when we talk about positional value, right? Whatever is protecting your quarterback is valuable. Okay. You don't have to have it right all along the O-line. Like, doesn't have to be all 5 of them great, but they have to be great as a unit. And you need some talent there. You need some good players there to cover up for some of the deficiencies that some of the lesser guys might have, right? And you need good coaching as well. You got to have some of those things working for you. But for a team like the Ravens, coaching is not working, and we're lacking on talent.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I know a lot of people are like, the Panthers and their record, but what they don't look at is the fact that Bryce Young was at the beginning of the season looked at as one of the greatest busts of all time. Yeah. Then that line gelled, and they went out there and they should have beat the Chiefs. They should have beat the world champion Philadelphia Eagles with a decimated defense because Bryce Young was on his game because he had the protection and he had the time. With us, we go into situations with rookies, some undrafted guys, some guys with no experience. And another thing that's needed for cohesion with the offensive line, you have to have guys that have seen things. You can't just line a lineman up out there and expect him to know what defenses are going to run, what kind of twists and stunts they're going to do. Like, you can't have that with a guy who's been injured for the last 7 years and just insert him into the starting lineup and think he's going to be good. You can't take a tackle and throw him at guard and say, you know what, whatever happens, happens.
We do too much experiment. Yeah, you're right, Hendo. We do too much experimenting with the O-line, with the offense in general. We're going to try this guy out here. We're going to try this guy out here. We don't take those chances on the defense
at all. Let him run out. Let's say they don't sign anybody else and say we got to start Jalen Armour Davis. They will have a fit. For the tenure of Lamar's career, all we've done in the draft is go defense, defense, defense. And everybody after the season, as soon as the season's over, it's like, man, Lamar needs help. A week later, it's like, we need to draft defense. Well, with all the defense that we've drafted, all the free agents that we brought in, all the guys that we paid, the Ravens had the 27th rated pass defense last season. So with all that influx of talent, They didn't do their job, and we're still saying let's go out here and get more defense. To do what?
Like, yo, what do you want them to do with the defense at this point, right? We got a first round cornerback we drafted, first round safety,
2 first round cornerbacks.
yeah, 2 first round. Well, one wasn't drafted by EDC.
Well, yeah.
Look, man, like we spent $100 million on a linebacker. You know, however much Matt BK got,
98.
like, 98 million. I mean, it's just high second round pick on first, second, third, fourth round picks on edge rushers, right? The last few drafts. Would you want to go and draft another edge rusher? You want them to draft another corner? You know, you want them to draft another safety? Like all these. I mean, cornerback, I think, was the most we drafted. I think that's the position we drafted the most over EDC's tenure.
That was a list of names, boy.
That was a list of names, and you still want to go and draft a corner? Like, so nothing is like the light bulb ain't turning on. You didn't look at that list and say, yo, maybe he's not good at that. Maybe we shouldn't go that.
No,
Maybe
but
we
he's
shouldn't
good
go
in
that route.
the first round, though. That's why they got to get him in the first round. Nate Wiggins can play. Okay, it's that TJ Tampa kid that's the problem.
Can't stay healthy.
Taylor Armour Davis, Caillou Blue Kelly,
Sean Wade,
Pepe Williams.
It's a myriad of guys that he drafted, even with pass rusher. And it's the thing that frustrates me the most is he'll go into a draft and he'll double dip on pass rushers, he'll double dip on cornerbacks, and then we'll immediately go into free agency and sign 2 pass rushers and then sign 2 corners after he just drafted 2. Like, bruh, how much do you need to get this done?
Yeah.
Well, he said, multiple times, you can never have enough corners. Yes, you can.
If they can't play,
you can have enough corners. You get rid of your training staff. That's why none of you can ever stay healthy.
I wanted to point this out too from Kelvin. Appreciate you coming through here, man. He says, I wouldn't be as infuriated if Falele would at least look for work when he doesn't know who to block.
Once again,
yo, 100% true.
Not going to explain the concept of gravity to you again. I'm just gonna point to my man going to the Pro Bowl, and y'all can deal with it. All right?
No, B is joking, but the fact is, yes,
yeah, he is.
But the fact is, he's absolutely right about this. If we didn't see so much tape of him just not knowing who to even touch when he's out there, if he would at least look to hit somebody, I would be a little bit higher on Falele right now. I'm not even saying I'm all the way out on Falele, right? Like, he obviously has some potential,
right?
But it's that mental part, right? It's like, well, are you going to fix that? Are you going to be able to know your assignments? You're going to know what to do when you're out there on the field, because that dude's massive, right?
Bruh.
If he can get that part together, yeah, he could be really good. But when is that going to happen? And you don't take risks like that when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. That's my whole thing. Get guys that you know that can play.
Good enough to defend the Pro Bowl quarterbacks, though.
You said Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP, and we're going to take a guy that never played guard before and experiment with him at tackle and hope it goes well.
3-time MVP.
No, yeah, technically. Yeah. But still.
West says, my problem with the Ravens is if you want to use all your draft picks on defense, you should have gone offense personnel and free agency.
Facts.
But we tried to use a top pick on offense. Then the top picks on defense and the last picks on offense. Yeah.
That's always been my thing when people talk about, getting the best player available and going with the value and everything. I'm like, that's fine if you use all 3 phases to acquire players, and the Ravens don't. Ravens don't use free agency to acquire players. They don't use trades typically to acquire players. They let it all fall in the draft, because they're not. They signed a DeAndre Hopkins, right? They're not out there competing to sign a Devontae Adams,
Right.
or any of the other higher end wide receivers. And when you let it all fall on the draft, then you can't sit here and say, well, I'm just going to take the best player. No, you have to fill your needs in the draft. If you're not going to use free agency and you're not going to make trades, you have to use the draft to fill your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, and stop me if this sounds familiar. Otherwise, you're going to say we need edge rushers and corners, and then the next year you're going to say we need edge rushers and corners, and the next year you're going to say we need edge rushers and corners,
Facts.
and then in the next year you're going to need edge rushers and corners.
Facts.
Guys, you see the list. We're not spending money, and we're not going to spend money either. This whole this because they're on rookie contracts. Spoiler alert: they're always going to be on rookie contracts. They're not going to sign those guys. They're going to draft. We're going to draft an old lineman in this draft. It won't be in the first round. It'll be later, right?
Facts.
Nick Samac was going to stick,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll get a shot to play, and they're going to spend their propaganda machine throughout the offseason, telling everybody that Nick Samac, that's a guy to look out for. If it wasn't for injuries, he'd have been higher, up higher in the draft. And everybody's going to be like, Nick Samac, yeah, Nick Samac, right? And then he'll get out there and he'll spend 2 or 3 years in the offensive line just looking like Falele and Voorhees, and people will say, oh well, he's got to get up to speed. He's going to get better, and maybe he has a solid year in his last year, and then people are going to say, oh, can't pay him,
Right.
So there's no stability there at O-line. The least you could do is go get a solid veteran.
Facts.
There's no reason why Kevin Zeitler isn't on this team right now. Didn't cost that much. Solid player. No reason to not. It had a good year last year. No reason to not bring him back.
All right.
Rave Kingdom says, y'all can hate me, but I'm telling y'all, Nick Emenwari is going to make people pay for not drafting him. No, he's not. He plays safety.
Facts.
What is he like? Make us pay? I thought we had a good safety. Y'all are really down on Kyle Hamilton now.
Right. We need to bring in somebody to move him around to put him in position to be the highest paid safety.
I remember when we had a safety like that named Ed Reed. I never remember us saying, "Man, we need to draft another safety." Right. I never remember hearing that.
You wouldn't.
No.
You would not.
Eternal says Panthers need secondary. We had 35 touchdowns on us last season. Yeah, the defense was one of the worst ever. And they've addressed the defense. You got to remember you're getting Derek Brown back. They brought in Wharton. They brought in Bobby Brown. They brought in Patrick Jones at edge. They're going to have presumably Wanham and Clowney for the full year. They brought in Trayvon Morig. So they've addressed the defense, rushing and passing. But the other part of what you're not saying here is the offense has been garbage for the last several years as well. They haven't really done anything to address the offense up to this point.
Yes, but you are a team that could go offense or defense in the first round. Like you can go best player available, right? If you guys got Malachi Starks or I don't know about Emenwari. Coach is not like Emenwari. He just thinks he's a workout warrior, so I stay away from that. Coach and Chris really like Malachi Starks. If you guys were to get somebody like that, well, actually, no, you shouldn't be getting Malachi Starks unless you trade him back. But if you got somebody like on defense, that's not. I mean, you have the worst defense ever, so that's not a bad thing, But score points.
We sign rotational pieces. Stop it. Yeah, that's what happens when you have one of the worst defenses ever. You have to sign rotational pieces. You're not going to get stars at every position, bro. And getting those rotational pieces will take you from the bottom of the league to the middle of the league, which is all that they need on defense. They need to get into the top 10 on offense if they want to be serious contenders. But I mean, you can sit back and tell me how much you love that wide receiving core if you want, and the tight end.
Hey, I mean, they literally lost you games last year.
Yeah, they did.
And they don't. You don't have to be great, but they gotta be better than. I mean, is it Xavier Legette hasn't? I mean, he hasn't worked out yet.
No.
You know, we could say, okay, you're a young enough team to say, let him grow into it or let him develop. You are. But that doesn't mean stop acquiring talent.
Right.
You know? So, okay, so you guys are picking 8th, right? Ashton Genty, Teteroy McMillan, who's another top offensive player there. I think, you know, you can go
Tyler Warren at
Campbell.
tight end, but you know, I think Campbell will be gone by then, and Carolina's looking to move out of that spot.
But okay, but just say for a second,
Yeah.
you got those options on offense. On defense, who will be there?
I'm talking Jalen Walker, Will Johnson.
Mason Graham.
I think
Mason Graham.
Mason's probably going before 8, but I mean he could possibly be there. Michael Williams out of Georgia.
So
the edge
who would
rusher.
you rather have out of those guys that could possibly be there?
Honestly, I mean, I would prefer them to move down. But if we're sticking at 8 and picking, I would say go ahead and just take McMillan. They need playmakers on offense desperately.
Eternal says we can get Starks, Emanwari, then second round. Wait, Starks or Emanwari? Those are two different people. Then second round, get Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden will not be there in the second round, my friend. Or fourth round, get Kyle Williams. I love when fans do this. You're not. I mean, Eternal, you're not the only person that does this. Ravens fans do this all the time. But these guys that you think are really good and will be there later, they are not going to be there later. If you think Kyle Williams is good enough to be a starter, he will not be there in the 4th round.
Right.
Or he isn't there in the 4th round because he's not good enough to be a starter.
You're saying we need speed, not a big body. We need everything on offense. They don't have anything. Second of all, where are you getting this idea that McMillan is not fast?
All right.
Where are you getting that from? Because on-field speed, he was, I believe, number 1 or number 2 in the country last season. He had to play where he was tracked at about 23 miles an hour.
So hold on a second.
No, wait,
hold on a second.
Yeah.
So you don't want a good player because you don't think he's fast enough?
How fast was your boy out in L.A., Cooper Kupp? I remember he won a Triple Crown, and I think he ran like a 4.640.
Yeah. Slow
Boom. Speed ain't always it. Some of the fastest players, most players that run a 4.2 at the wide receiver position were busts. 4.2 or 4.3. Most of them are busts just because they're fast. They don't know how to run routes or they can't catch. Speed is not a prerequisite to play wide receiver in the NFL.
How would I feel if the Panthers traded up to get Abdul Carter? I would be for it. I would be very, very happy about that.
And also, side note, I would also be for it, the Ravens. That's one of those moves. If we threw all of our chips in to move up and get Abdul Carter,
let's do it.
I'm going to be quiet.
Okay? For the Panthers, I'm the more I think about it, the more I think that they should go with McMillan, and get Bryce some help on offense. But I'm not going to be upset about pretty much anybody they pick at 8. Like, they need talent all over the roster, and if you can get high end talent, then you go get it. Not a safety. Not even Warrior or Malachi Starks, but if we're talking about getting an edge rusher, getting Mason Graham on the interior, even getting Jalen Walker, who moves around the formation quite a bit, Will Johnson to put across from that other guy, I'm not going to be upset about any of those picks, but because they really do need to they need to avoid the Baltimore mistake and build around their quarterback.
Wow.
Because the logic that you're using, like, hey, we can get these other guys later, you can apply that logic to safety.
Here's the Eternal says Carolina has always been known for defense. Okay. But who cares what they've been known for? How many rings has Carolina won?
Right.
They've won 0. Who cares?
Yeah. Philly was known for defense too.
Hey, what else stood out to you about 2015 Eternal? You're talking about the defense. What else stood out? Was it Cam winning MVP and the offense being unstoppable, even though they didn't have any receivers?
Yeah.
But that's all right.
You gotta be able to put up points, and this isn't the same NFL, man. Like, you gotta be able to put up points,
right?
But to B's point, man, like you gotta get a good player with that first pick. Offense or defense. Not safety at 8. Not safety at 8. Even if you decide to go corner, that's fine. I'm not sure who the top corners are.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, obviously Travis Hunter,
Travis
Will
Hunter,
Johnson.
yeah. I think they'll be gone though.
Yeah.
If you got Travis Hunter, I asked Coach
Cam
Chris this,
ran
like, where does
all
he
of that
play?
season. I'm pretty sure he threw 35 touchdowns that season.
He ran all that season. Oh, okay. I mean, he did. Well, yes, you're half right. He did run that season. You're half right. He also passed. He also passed all that season too. He did everything that season. He was unstoppable.
Facts.
No, I never said safety at 8. I was speaking of if we traded back and acquire a top second. I see.
That's great, but still not safety. But yes, trading back and acquiring a second would be outstanding. Evil Smarty says, so if T-Mac and Mason are on the board, who you picking? And he had me so confused for a second because I just watched, before we came on, I just watched a video of T-Mac, the real one, Tracy McGrady.
Listen, there's only one T-Mac.
Talking with Vince Carter, which is pretty funny. But if McMillan and Mason are both there, I would say go with McMillan. Like I said, you have to get some talent around Bryce. He played. I agree
because you put
well.
in some work on the D line and free agency already.
Yeah,
and you're getting
the D line is pretty solid. Bryce played very well the second half of the season with nothing to work with in terms of wide receiver and tight end. You have to get him some help there. It's unfair to expect him to keep up his level of play without adding in talent.
What's up, Nitro? Says we are trading back. EDC is pretty much guaranteeing it. That doesn't surprise me either.
I would log off. This man said on his press conference, pretty much he's drafted all the players that he has, but in the same sentence he said, yeah, but they're probably not all going to make the team because we have a good team. So why would you draft all 11 players or 13 if you trade back? Like it makes no sense to use all of these draft picks for guys aren't going to make the team.
That's always been my thing with Baltimore. It's like you don't have very many open roster spots, so why are you trying to acquire as many draft picks as possible?
So yeah, the trading back thing, like I don't like to make predictions with this team, right? We like to discuss what they should do, right? And people always conflate what we're saying as we're predicting what they're going to do. We know they're not going to do that. What we're saying is they're doing it wrong. This is what they need to do, right? And just because they go and do the wrong thing, that doesn't validate what they're doing as correct, right? Just Aloe wants to know, Hendo, Jose, who do you guys want us to draft at 27? I do not want us to draft at 27, man. I want us to trade up.
Thanks.
But if we stay at 27, it's got to be an O lineman. I'm hoping that tackle, that Ohio State tackle,
Josh Simmons.
If not, get a guard, Gray Zabel, somebody like that.
That's my pick, Gray Zabel. He's a swing tackle because we have no plan for if anybody goes down. We don't have any backup tackles. We don't technically have any backup guards. I know Ray Kingdom don't want to hear this, but Ben Cleveland is not an option. They didn't even want this man on the team. So if anybody gets hurt, who are we going to insert? So we need somebody that can play multiple positions, kind of take over the Pat McCarr role, but actually be good. So I'll take Gray.
Yeah, Nitro, 24 picks in 2 seasons is nasty work. And how many? Look, we went through the list last week.
Yeah.
How many of those players were you just like, man, we nailed it?
2.
Not many. Yeah, 2. Yeah, there was like 2.
But the thing that upsets me is during the draft, all we hear is, man, y'all guys are hating. Y'all hating. Listen, what's the cornerback that they drafted from Iowa State?
TJ
Tampa.
Oh man, we got such great value in the 4th round. Like he could have been a 2nd or 3rd rounder. This is in the 3rd. Then when he doesn't work out, it's like, what did you expect? He was a 4th rounder.
So when it comes to our O-line, Falele can go out there and not know what he's doing on the field. at all. He be sitting there like, why these guys running by me? That's weird, right? He can do that, and we say, hey man, he's developing. They love him. He's not going anywhere. Deal with it. Deal with it. He's going to get better, right? But Brandon Stevens, who played solid before, didn't play as great. I don't think he played nearly as bad as people say, but didn't play as good. Okay, he played bad, but he's shown you that he can play good football. Get that bum out of here.
All right.
Right? TJ Tampa could go out there and have a bad, first few games, and they're like, get this bum off the field.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have any type of downtime on the defense. You don't want anybody to develop into that role. They can't learn on the job. They got to go in there and be ready to go from the jump. But on the offense, especially when you're protecting Lamar Jackson, man, they'll figure it out.
Right.
But Lamar got legs, right?
Yeah.
Where did he block
Shout out
it
to
for?
Rave Kingdom for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. Says interesting draft. May God be with us. Garnett was good, man. It says, good evening, fellas. I'm at the point where my love for the Ravens is becoming stale due to a lack of aggressiveness over the years. Yeah.
It's amazing how you want to trade back and lessen the pool of blue chip talented players. You want to get more picks, but guys that are developmental and maybe can't play. So you got a team of 14 players that may be good, may not be good, may develop in year 3 or 4, instead of getting a guy that can come contribute now when you're so close to a Super Bowl. And that's the thing that infuriates me about this team is we want to draft projects. They say best player available. I love Hollywood. He wasn't the best player available. Patrick Queen definitely wasn't the best player available. Odafe Owe, not even close. But they want to say BPA, and trade back and get these lesser talented guys and hope that they develop in the future. But y'all want to say EDC cooking.
They have a few things going against them, right? One, they think they're the smartest man in the room. They're not.
Facts.
Right? They want to get these guys. We talked about it. Owe, a lot of teams do this. It's not just the Ravens. It used to be when you had a player like Owe who had great physical ability, right? A spectacular athlete, but not a great player yet. Those guys used to go later in the draft, and teams would just get them, stash them away, and develop them, and then hopefully they break out, right? That happened a few times, right? So every now and then there'd be a team that take a chance on somebody that didn't really have a lot of tape, but it was a great talent, and they went to the right situation and they blew up, right? And teams looked at that, and now it's gotten to a point where they look at the talent more than their tape, or their physical talent, their physical abilities more than the actual skill. And you're seeing a lot more guys that are raw, that aren't really polished, and coaches think that they're good enough to bring them in and develop into that type of player, but they have no patience with them. And we're a victim of that with Owe, with a lot of players. And that's one problem. The other problem is, Harbaugh doesn't want guys that have like loud personalities, I should say. Right. So if they proceed to have any kind of attitude, that's why he don't want to deal with wide receivers. All wide receivers we get, they gotta be the quiet type. Right. He don't want any outspoken ones that want to demand the ball, ones that get a little passionate. He don't want any of those guys. His ego can't deal with that. So that dampers the team. Same thing on defense. He don't really want those guys that are a little crazy on defense, but that can change the game, right? He dealt with it a little bit with Bernard Pollard. He said never again.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Suggs, like he's like, I don't want to deal with these guys ever again. So, he wants choir boys that can play, and look, man, if the first thing they say about you is he's a great guy, I don't need you on. I don't need you on the team.
This is the point I was going to make here. Reg says the problem is those guys were all the best players available to the Ravens, whether it be EDC, Harbs, the OC, or the DC. Everybody back there picking and agreeing on these players, they all fail, and that's the problem with BPA. If you can't scout then what does BPA mean? It means nothing. You're not drafting the best player available. You're drafting mistakes repeatedly. Deshaun says, if we draft low, we always going to draft projects. That's not true.
Not true at all.
You can absolutely draft players who can step in and play immediately. You do not have to draft projects. They choose to do that.
Justin Jefferson was the 22nd pick of the draft.
I mean, just in Baltimore, Tyler Linderbaum wasn't a project.
Fact, and he went 25th.
Right.
You don't have to do that. They choose to do that.
Yeah.
Nitro says, LBHT, I got a hot take. Zay Flowers will not be paid and will be traded because they won't pay him when it's time to pay him. That won't surprise me. Well, in order to do that, we have to see a wide receiver drafted here pretty soon, right?
Do they? Because I remember when they traded Hollywood, it didn't
They-
seem like too much of a priority to replace him.
And we had Bateman by that time.
we had Bateman, Prochet, and Duvernay.
That's what I'm saying. So so Bateman was a first round pick. So yeah, if we go wide receiver this in the first round or second round, then that'll be pretty telling. All right. If they extend Bateman, that'd be pretty telling. I'm gonna say. Well, again, I mean, I think they'll pay. I think they'll pay Zay. I don't know who else on the offense is going to get paid. You know,
but
35
how
million
much?
a year is a going rate. 35 mil is going rate for if your name is
for elite receivers. He's not an elite receiver. So.
Zay's not going to ask for 35 million either.
No.
I mean, by that time, because you got to think, 2 more years, they're going to pick up the 5th-year option. That's 4 years from now. We don't know what the salary is going to look like.
I'm trying to think. The not Jamar Chases. What are they making?
28 to 32.
20 to 32. Okay, well then, you know what? If that's the rate, that's the rate. Guess what? Like these sound like big numbers, but the cap keeps going up.
True.
That's the going rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all like when we drafted Queen, we were like, hey, do y'all want to pay 20 mil a year for a linebacker when his contract comes up? You can go back and look at it. We said that. Do y'all want to pay 20 mil a year for a linebacker when his contract comes up? Guess what we ended up doing?
But the crazy part is CJ Mosley was 17 mil a year.
17 mil a year is what he wanted, and that's why we got rid of him. And then we end up trading a second round pick for Roquan and paying him 20 mil a year.
And CJ was more productive and created turnovers.
Yeah.
Facts. Right. Facts. So yeah, I mean that's the going rate. That's the going rate. You have to pay it. And this is why I hate too. Like I hate when we look at because we didn't want to pay Ryan Stanley either.
We didn't want to pay Lamar Jackson.
They want to pay Lamar Jackson, right? They don't want to spend money, and they're so stingy with money that's not theirs. That's not their money. That's the players' money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the players' pool, right? But they're always looking to replicate a defense that they're never going to get back. Think about everything that they've put into the defense. That our defense under EDC has never looked like that Philly defense that just won the Super Bowl. Never. Not once. Never looked like that. We've had good defenses. They've never looked like that. Mm-hmm. And we're still here today saying we need to get an edge. We need to get a corner. We need to get a safety. All right. We need to get D-line. We need. We always need on defense.
Facts. And another thing with Philly, what they did that we don't do is Nick Sirianni went through 4 defensive coordinators, and he didn't do in-house. He looked outside of the organization and didn't hire his buddies. He went out and got proven defensive coordinators. And once he got Vic Fangio, that's what took Philly to the next level. And that's why the defense, along with the talent, being able to draft, made Philly look the way that it did. We're going to keep hiring Harbaugh's buddies and hope that they develop into something. And then maybe if they do, they're going to leave. And then he's going to hire his next friend. We're not going out there getting bona fide guys. And at some point, we have to look at Harbaugh and say, maybe EDC partially is drafting talent. We're just not developing any of it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Nitro. But I'm going to tell you, look, the Raiders don't want to pay anybody. It's not an offensive thing, right? It's not just offense. They like to spend more capital on defense, but they don't want to pay anybody. They don't want to pay Kyle Hamilton either. That's why everybody's saying we're going to draft safety. They're the ones putting it out there. They're the ones floating it out there that we could go safety. If we draft Malachi Starks, what do you think is going to happen with Kyle Hamilton? You think he's getting paid? Hell no. Not well. He's going to get paid. Not here, right? They're not going to pay for that. If they draft another cornerback, you think Nate Wiggins is going to get paid when his contract comes up? Hell no. Like they're not paying. They'll pay one of them. They're not. They don't want to spend a lot of money, at the same position for multiple players.
Right. One on each level.
But the other thing was, like, you got to realistically right now, if he were up for contract, he is in the lower 20s area of getting paid. He's not in the Zay. He's not in the league of those guys who are getting 30 plus, and obviously Jamal with 40. So they would have to see a jump in his production before you start talking about that top of the league compensation. They still probably won't pay him. They'll let him go, get that third round comp pick, draft another receiver, and start it over. But he's not the way he's going right now. He's not going to demand that top of the league type of contract.
Yeah. Or he might just ask for a trade. He might look at him like, "Hey, I can't get paid here, man. Let me go." There just needs to be a change. There needs to be a change in the front office. This is not working. We were arguing with I was arguing with somebody at Coach's comments on our video. He wanted to let us know that we're not smarter than the coaching and the front office with the Ravens. And I was like, hey man, look, you can think that. I know we know more football than you do. Right. And I would dispute that they know more than us. Like they have more football knowledge. They have more experience. They work in the industry, but that doesn't mean you're making the right decisions. Just because you work someplace for a long time doesn't mean you're doing a good job.
Yeah, and sometimes your profession passes you by, and sometimes you just get stuck in bad process, and you don't realize what you're doing is bad, even though you have all of this experience, you have all of this talent and all of this knowledge. It just doesn't work for you. Case in point. I don't know if you all have heard of this guy. He's pretty well known. Francis Ford Coppola, right? Legendary director. Made a movie called Megalopolis. Why don't y'all tell me how much more about cinema he knows than everybody based on the results of that film?
Well, that's the other thing too. I can't stand when y'all do this. Oh, they know a lot more than you do, and this and that. I'm not competing for the job.
Right.
Like I'm criticizing them as my right as a fan. Right. They better know more than me. They better know more than me. And comparing, if you're skipping past all the other coaches and GMs that are doing a much better job than them and going straight to me, that tells you all you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we spent that hour on this.
We could spend a couple hours on this.
We could spend a couple of hours on this. I was saying it says the Ravens go on defense when it comes to that wallet. Yeah. And this is why we keep saying Lamar needs to hold out. Ultimately, I can see him asking for a trade. Eric L asked that question in a submitted questions segment. When will Lamar ask for a trade? I think as soon as next year, right? Or at least a couple more years. If we keep exiting the way we do in the playoffs, and they're not making any kind of personnel moves, meaning coach, GM, or whatever, mainly coach, I can see him saying, this just isn't working. He should be saying that, if we're being honest. He as serious as he is at winning a Super Bowl, another year, and we lose in the playoffs the way we're losing, he should be saying, hey, love coach, love this organization, but it's just not working. I need to do something different, right? If they're not willing to make the change, if they want to pick Harbaugh over Lamar, then he needs to leave, right? I don't care about this extension from John Harbaugh. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't count against the cap. Owners will pay a coach and fire them with 5 years left on their deal. That doesn't mean anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you give Harbaugh one more year. If they don't get it done, he has to go.
Yes, Nacho. This is what I'm saying. He says he covered the list of highest paid wide receivers. With his statistics, the market will set him up in the 30s. Yeah, that's not a top of the market contract. That's what I'm saying. Especially a couple of years from now when he's up for a deal. The top of the market right now is 40 million. And will probably be higher than that. He'll be in the 30s. And yeah, they probably won't pay him that.
Garnett doesn't think Lamar will ask for a trade. Lamar's already asked for a trade. I think he absolutely would ask for a trade. Right? He's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He's humble, but he's no dummy.
Right.
And his mom is managing his career. His mom is no dummy. She's gonna be like, "Yeah, get my son up out of here."
Right.
So they need to be mindful of that, man. We've had a lot of success with them, but it's not enough. We're expecting to win Super Bowls. We need to at least get there. We can't be losing the playoffs the way we're losing. That is coaching. Those are coaching mistakes, man. And GM mistakes, putting the wrong people out there. You gotta go all out at least 1 year and win it. And if you're not willing to do that, well then, all right, man, you have fun with these stupid ass games with another quarterback.
But they're not willing to do it. Listen, Lamar Jackson in 2019 surprised everybody. Everybody. Led the league in touchdowns on the least amount of pass attempts. Nobody saw that coming. You would have thought after that season, the GM, the coach would have said, you know what? Maybe he can pass a little bit better than we thought and build around him, especially on a rookie deal. But what they did was they took offensive linemen, they took wide receivers away from him and was like, you go do it yourself. And progressively got worse after that. So, yeah, like we're in a Super Bowl window and they're playing games offensively. Like, well, you know what? The offensive line should be good next year. But yet and still, we're a year removed from that. And we're still in the same situation where we have questions on the offensive line. We still have questions protecting your greatest asset. As much as you love Kyle Hamilton, as much as you love Roquan, as much as you love Namde, if they go down, we still can win games and win in the playoffs. If Lamar goes down, this team is toast. We don't have anything else. No other quarterback in this league can come to this team with the style that we play and the weapons that we have and take us to the playoffs consistently and do anything.
Bryce Young.
Right. Yeah. As long as we spend $95 million on the O-line.
Facts.
Hey. That was just to get him up on his feet. He's gone now. Right? He don't even need that. You could take those 5 guys off the field and he'll be fine.
I can't overstate how bad Bryce Young looked in his first couple games versus how he finished the season. Because that first game against New Orleans, as like he was getting cooked in the backfield, and it wasn't because the O-line wasn't blocking, right? You could see the O-line holding up, and he's just standing there like, what do I do with this ball? Right? He was shell-shocked. And usually when you see guys like that, they're broken, right?
Yeah,
they can't be fixed. They don't come back. My man came back.
Yeah, he did. Strong.
Yeah.
Strong.
It took 5 weeks of seeing Andy Dalton take his job, and he was like, what the hell am I doing? Let me get back on this field.
He called an Uber driver and said, how would you like to make a little bit more cash today? Go ahead and ram your car right into that car over there.
He said, Andy Dalton throws like this, and he's been in the league for 30 years. I got nothing to worry about. I'm going to let that thing go.
Yeah, no. Bryce really came back. I have some high hopes for Bryce this season.
That man took a team with no weapons offensively, except for maybe Chuba, and no defense, and took it to the Eagles and should have won. We didn't do that.
Adam Thielen erasure is wild.
I'm sorry. My man, I'm sorry. He had Adam Thielen. He had 102-year-old Adam Thielen.
All right, better than all them Ravens receivers.
Jay said, sabotage, little old Bryce would never.
The Carolina Reaper would.
Yeah, there you go. All right. We said we're gonna make this a shorter episode. We're already off track here. We got one more thing to discuss. We're going to court of public opinion. I am sick of these people. I am sick of Stephen A. Smith. And we weren't even going to talk about him, but he had to piggyback on the LeBron hate. This wasn't even going to be about LeBron either, but this turned into a LeBron thing because it's always about LeBron in the end, right? And everything trickles down from there. But ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a real court, but it is the court that you need. Court of public opinion starts right now. Yes, Urban, Sassy A. I'm so sick of Sassy A. Smith. I am so sick of this man. I went on a long rant. Was it last week we talked about him?
And the week before, and I think the week before.
We talked about it in the overtime show.
Yeah.
I had to go off because, political Stephen A, decided to make an appearance, and I had to completely shut that down. This is why I don't respect this man in real life because of his political taste, man. Politics is not a game. These are people's lives that you're messing with, right? And when you go out there and you play dumb, just because you think it's a popularity contest, I don't respect that, especially when you're speaking on things that are detrimental to the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a game for me, right? So I do not respect this man. He's a complete sellout, and he's selling out his own people just for money. And he's a sellout, and he doesn't like to accept the fact that he is a sellout. He doesn't like when people call him a sellout. He still wants that respect, of not being a sellout. You can't have it both ways. But this isn't really about him. But I'm mentioning him because he piggybacked on this, and I didn't clip the video that I wanted to clip. But this is this is about Isaiah Thomas. Okay, another despicable human being.
Facts.
Isaiah Thomas was on a pregame show, and they're showing LeBron practicing, some jump shots before a game. And honestly, I didn't understand what they were saying when they were just clutching their pearls over the sight of LeBron, because LeBron didn't have a shirt on, and he was like, "This is just completely unprofessional." I'm like, I was like, "Wait, what did I miss? Like, what's unprofessional? Like, is he like something on his shorts?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get it. Like, I could have sworn, players have put up shots without shirts on before a game before. Like, it looked as normal as could be. Mm-hmm. If you just put the video up there and say, "What's wrong with this?" You'd be like, "Nothing." Right? Mm-hmm. You might be looking at his jump shot like, well, that's how he shoots. But not wearing a shirt, I've never heard anybody say that's unprofessional. He got there before anybody was in the arena to put up shots. And he just went on this rant about how unprofessional it is, and you gotta take more pride in it. Mind you, this is a guy that chokes his coach out.
Mm-hmm. Dude, punch Rick Mahorn in the head.
Yeah,
to zero effect, mind you.
And these are the lighter things on his resume.
He threw his fist up at Rick Mahorn's head as hard as he could, and Mahorn just laughed.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, conservative A. Smith needs to be quiet. He's flip-flop A. Smith. Sometimes he wants to be conservative. Sometimes he wants to be a little liberal. He wants to play, in the middle guy. I'm an independent, I go at both sides. He's trying to be that type of idiot. All right. Can't state a single policy. Right. Talking about AOC and Bernie Sanders and he said he made up the numbers.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm making this up, but do you want them taking 80% of your income?" They never said that. They never said that, and you said they never said that. Why are you throwing that point out there? Yeah. But yeah, Isaiah Thomas had an issue with LeBron James and his practicing hours before a game without a shirt. Was this unprofessional?
The professionalism, he said, is at an all-time low. This from the dude who had to leave his post in New York due to multiple sexual harassment accusations. No, there's nothing unprofessional about somebody playing basketball without a shirt on. I don't know if you've heard of this, Jose or Hendo in your many years. Maybe this is just back in Just Al's time, but people used to play shirts versus skins.
And facts.
What?
Yeah. That wasn't a fancy way. It wasn't a fancy euphemism for segregation. What would happen is one team would just take the shirts off so you knew who your teammates were.
Yep.
Nobody really had a problem with that. I've never seen him play an NBA game without his shirt on. So I'm not sure what Isaiah's issue is, other than people aren't talking about Isaiah enough.
I never seen him doing team warm-ups without a shirt on either.
Nah. I've seen Isaiah kick people though on the ground in NBA games. But,
Like,
whatever.
is it?
I mean, his team was called the Bad Boys. It wasn't because they followed the rules, and he's out here lecturing people about professionalism. Somebody who's never been in trouble at any point in their life.
Okay, let's say it's a little less than professional. Maybe he's like, hey, I would like to see him wear a shirt when he's out there. Is it that egregious that you have to go on a rant about LeBron not wearing a shirt? And of course, Stephen A had to piggyback on this and say he agreed with Isaiah. Of course, you agree with Isaiah, right? Because Isaiah at 65, whatever he is more capable of standing up to LeBron than you are.
Yeah. Now, the other part of this, Shaq had to come out because, he's another one who doesn't like it when people are talking about things that aren't Shaq, and said that, the players now are just playing for money. They're not playing for the love of the game. He played for the love of the game. Liar. But, I mean, we've all seen the clips of you running down the court, screaming at the owner box, saying, pay me, in the middle of the games. We all know how you would show up out of shape and, quote, get in shape on company time. He himself told a story before he got to the NBA about how he wanted to play football, and then his father told him about John Conchar. I think it was John Conchar, who got a 3-year, $15 million deal playing basketball, and he wasn't any good, and he decided to play basketball to make some money. We all know that you only, I say only, but you only have 4 rings because you're one of the laziest superstars who's ever been in the NBA. So the idea that you're out here as this ambassador for the love of the game and a throwback to an era where people really, where the athletes really cared, is a joke. None of these guys are playing this game for the money. They make more money off the court than they do on the court. A lot more money off the court than on the court. So, you think LeBron is in year 22 being a top 10 player in the league because he needs the check? It makes no sense.
Right. Shout out to Jared for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you. Says Isaiah Thomas turned into old dude waving his fist in the street.
Them darn kids.
It's sad, and it's probably why Jose says a lot. It's part of why the league is lacking a bit in popularity and the ratings are down. It's because the people who are supposed to be your ambassadors of the game are haters, and they don't want you to move on and forget about them and start praising the new players. They want you to keep talking about Shaq. I mean, he went at Dwight Howard for over a decade because Dwight Howard wore a Superman cape. And he stole the Superman idea first, so nobody else can have that.
Right. Right. It's a weird culture in basketball, man. Like, they are some true divas. Basketball players are divas. And as much as they try to put on this front that they're not haters and they want to show love, they're haters. Like that same podcast where Shaq is talking about these guys, he goes on his rant about how he's not a hater. He's tired of people calling him a hater. He's like, just because I'm great and you're not great, that is, I know what greatness is, and that doesn't make me a hater. And then, like, throughout the podcast, they're asking him about current players, like which players, like, they just throwing out names. He's like, well, yeah, he's good. Well, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he can play. Yeah, and he's like, look, if you could pass my hater test, then you can play. Excuse me? I thought you said you weren't a hater. Right? And his hater test was, he used Steph Curry as an example. When Steph Curry first came in the league, and he's hitting every shot as he's been doing since he was, like, I don't know, 12, right? He was like, oh, he's like, when Curry's hitting these shots, I was like, oh, that's just luck. That's just luck. Oh, he's on a hot streak. That's not going to keep up. And then finally, it's just like, well, damn, I have to admit that he can play. Yeah, man, that makes you a hater.
Facts.
The man he's always done this.
Mm-hmm.
There's never a point where he couldn't make those shots.
Right. There was just a point where his ankles couldn't hold up.
Yeah. And you don't have to be skeptical of players. Would you like, being an ambassador of the game means appreciate what's going on in the moment. right?
Right.
If Curry only had one hot season and then fell off, okay, you can talk about it when he falls off, but in that moment, appreciate what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Shaq
Yeah,
was a hater to his own teammate that was helping him win championships.
facts.
He was hated to his other teammate who was going to help him win championships until he left because he got so jealous.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Bill said, because you are a hater. His LeVar Ball voice.
But yeah, and I feel like you look around the league right now, and people talk, oh, it's so I hate watching, I can't watch it, it's so terrible, blah blah blah. I want '90s ball back. When you've got guys like Nikola Jokic, who's won 3 MVPs, might be about to win his fourth, being the first player ever to go 30, 20, 20 in a game, being the first center of all time to average a triple double, third player overall. You got guys like Giannis who. I mean, it was just an absolute freak. I mean, James Harden called him a dunk merchant, but he got himself a ring and a couple Defensive Player of the Year awards and MVP award
Yep.
being a dunk merchant. You got Kevin Durant, another 7-footer who can, he can drop it in from anywhere on the court. He's one of the greatest scorers who's ever lived. Obviously LeBron in year 22 being better than 99% of players who have ever played still. And now he's playing with Luka, a guy who's like Steve Nash on steroids, essentially. And people just, like, I want my Anthony Mason back. And it doesn't make any sense to me. But we'll go ahead and put up the poll here. If you think that Shaq is right and Isaiah is right and LeBron should put a shirt on and maybe these guys should play for free, it's #old. If you think that maybe they should lighten up and just enjoy the game that they supposedly love, #NBA Young for NBA Young Boys.
And don't forget to mention, it was nobody in the arena.
Right.
He was there by himself. But Isaiah's just jealous because he's 40 and still looks like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pay the bill. He called him a run and dunk merchant, which I laugh every single time I think about that. Like, it's the most hilarious thing in the world to me. From James Harden, who played half the game at best.
MVP.
At that point, he wasn't.
Shaq, NT Sports says, but Shaq would have destroyed Joker. Oh, okay. So the three of us had this conversation
did.
offline the other day. Okay, I'm curious what you guys think. Now, we're not going to diminish what Shaq did in the league, right? And even in today's game, I mean, he gets the ball in the paint, he's going to score in the paint, right? But Shaq himself would tell you he wasn't a defensive guy, right? So, take out today's game. People don't like this era of basketball. You can pick whatever era of basketball that you want. Shaq versus Jokic, right? Who do you got? Because even in the 90s basketball, which Shaq didn't really play, right? Even in 90s basketball, the Jordan era, like, Jokic could do everything that he's doing now. He can do everything he's doing now. He can hit threes. He can facilitate the ball. He can hit shots from anywhere on the court where Shaq can't guard him. Now, can Jokic guard Shaq in the paint? No.
But he's got a better shot at doing that than Shaq has guarding him outside the paint.
Facts.
Yeah.
And you can Detroit showed you can let Shaq get his all day long and still beat them.
Right.
Because he's just one man. He's not going to make every shot.
You know who else did that to Shaq?
Who?
Christian Laettner.
Christ, man.
Come outside.
I thought at least you would go with Akeem Olajuwon.
I mean, that's different. That's different.
Like, I mean, come on.
But I'm just saying, Christian Laettner took him outside. Once he realized he couldn't do anything down low, he took him outside, and Shaq couldn't do nothing, and he was tired and had to start the game. Like, Jokic all the way.
Tim Duncan school Shaq, it could have happened. Tim Duncan, Tim Duncan is criminally underrated.
True.
I'm sorry. Like, yes, Shaq dominant force in the paint. I think Orlando Shaq had he stayed in that
We'd
shape,
have a much
could have
better shot. Yeah.
we would be having a completely different conversation about Shaq. Go and I know you guys do not remember Orlando Shaq.
But
Shaq and Penny.
he loved the game too much and put on 100 pounds.
Right.
If Orlando Shaq stayed that Shaq, because he could run up and down the court. Ooh, boy, oh boy,
freakishly athletic for how big he was.
That'd have been different. You guys need to go and watch those tapes and be like, damn, what was that? That was like when I remember seeing a younger George Foreman, because I always knew the George Foreman, the bigger George Foreman, bald head George Foreman, who was still knocking people out, but young George Foreman who never smiled and had the fro. Oh my God. I watched him. I was like, oh, no heavyweight today could beat that George Foreman.
Yeah.
That's why Muhammad Ali is called the greatest, because that was an impossible thing that he did.
But listen, I'll take Joker because look, my man Yao Ming used to take it to Shaq, and Yao is nowhere near as skilled as Jokic.
Sure.
I love Yao. Yao was a great player, but he's not Jokic.
NDT Sports says I got 2000 Shaq. That's a different conversation. But 2000 Shaq wasn't as experienced, right? Hakeem Olajuwon gave him the business
every time,
right?
Well, that was a few years earlier. That was 2000 Shaq is right at the he's 3-peat Shaq.
Oh, right.
And if you bring Shaq out of the paint on defense and make him run around all day trying to defend somebody, he's not going to be the same Shaq on offense.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Osman? Says hello to Jose, Brodny, Hendo, and all in the chat. Osman? Better late than never. Facts. Appreciate you coming through. Him and Penny made me a Magic fan. They made lots of people Magic fans.
What happened since then?
Well, I mean, then he realized that Orlando is a feeder system for the LA Lakers.
Yeah.
I love what y'all are doing with Paulo. Can't wait till you send him over.
But speaking of Paulo, there's a lot of young talent in the league now. I mean, like, they have to start winning championships, right?
Yeah.
They got to start winning to kind of usher in this new legacy, right? We're going to keep talking about the old guards if they keep winning. Look, Boston winning last year, kind of helps with that, but they got to keep taking it from the old heads. It's a grown man sport, and it's time for these young guys to grow up. Unlike John Morant did last night.
Facts right here. Shaq is a dunk merchant. That's right.
Oh man, I can't remember.
Not even a run and dunk merchant, just the dunk.
Yeah, give me the ball right here.
Shout out! I didn't really care for him too much, but shout out to Dennis Rodman. I have never, maybe Ben Wilson, but I saw Rodman one time in a game guard Shaq the whole game and put his forearm in Shaq's back, and he couldn't move. I'm like, what the?
Yeah. Ben Wallace. I mean, look, Ben Wallace obviously didn't shut down Shaq. I mean, Shaq went off in that series, but it was just enough, right? Because now you don't have to double him,
right?
Yeah. But yes, Shaq is a grade A hater. All right. Yeah. I'm sick of him. I'm sick. It's not just him. It's all these guys. It's him. It's a Stephen A. Smith. It's all these guys that don't want to let go of the past. They're constantly telling you that today's game is soft. It's not fun. It sucks. It's all this stuff. Like Shaq said in the podcast, he was like, people get mad at me because I said, today's game isn't fun. It's not fun. It sucks. So why do you still do the NBA and TNT?
Right?
Money. For the love of it, right?
Like,
that's what we're saying.
You hate today's game. You don't watch the games. You don't know who's coaching what teams, but you're going to take the millions of dollars.
Little breaking news here. Miami is beating the brakes off of Chicago right now. They're up 24, 71-47 at halftime. Tyler Hero, 8 for 8, 3 for 3 from 3 with 23 points at halftime.
Shout out to Coach.
Say goodbye to them Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, they're cooked.
This is the most random starting lineup ever. Vucevic, Kobe White, Kayvon Herter, Josh Giddey, Buzelis. Where did you even get these guys? Taylor and Horton Tucker coming off the bench. Like, it's just they went to Goodwill and picked up what everybody else dropped off.
Right. Rotational players.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
All
It's
right.
time to go.
It's time to go. No submitted questions.
Nah,
All right, y'all. B forgot to post the
That's
submitted
not
questions
true.
link. That is true.
that's not true.
But just because you don't see the post, you can hit us up anywhere to get your submitted questions in. All right. You can hit us up on social media anywhere at LBHT Show. You can email us lbhtshow@gmail.com. Anywhere. Okay. Tweet at us. Whatever. DM us, whatever. Get your question in that way, and we will answer it on air. It reminds me, I think P Brown may have asked me. He always asks me questions on Instagram.
On Instagram,
And
yeah.
I keep telling him I'm going to answer
Well,
on the show.
Jose forgot to check the Instagram DMs. So we don't have any submitted questions. But I'll answer
Unlike B,
Mazel's questions here.
unlike B,
What happened to the Josh Giddey case? I believe
Throw it out.
I believe they said they didn't have enough evidence and they threw it out.
Yep.
Pay the Bills says Shaq's on the broadcast to rub his rings in Chuck's face and talk about barbecue chicken for money. I look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fat fan of Shaq, but something that always makes me laugh is what you know about running rings, Chuck. what you know about championships. and that used to piss Chuck off, and it made it even funnier.
Yeah.
I'd be saying, so you're saying EDC put that team together? Yes, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No messages from P Brownie. Okay. I'm checking right now. See that? I fixed it.
Okay, you fixed it. That's good.
That's right.
Well done. Well done.
You know, Josh Giddey. That's a crazy story. We talked about that, and we talked about the possibility of him not actually knowing the girl's age and whatnot. Right? There's some question there, and some people close to him believe like he really didn't know. Right? The girl lied about his age. There's a lot of circumstantial stuff there where there's some plausible deniability. I should say plausible deniability with that. Right? You can still have your opinion one way or another. But when we're talking about these old school haters and unprofessionalism, somebody had brought up how unprofessional it was for a certain player to get a 13-year-old pregnant and then ghost the kid. Do y'all know who that is? Do y'all remember?
Even I will give him semi credit. This is hater credit, because even when the kid made the NFL, he said, "I don't want nothing to do with you."
Huh?
That kid got drafted in the 7th round by the Bills. He was an offensive lineman, and this particular individual said, "Still no."
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other player.
No.
He said another player. He got another player.
Yeah. Who y'all talking about?
Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
All day, every day.
Oh, I was talking about him. But he has a daughter too. They went to the WNBA.
Damn.
Well, no, he claims her.
I know, but he not in the beginning.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, not till she made it.
Oh, I would never have anything to do with him. Yep, NET Sports, Karl Malone.
Oh, here we go. Submitted question from QT0. How many games will the Panthers win with a new first weapon and without if we go defense? If they go, let's say, McMillan in the draft, I'm going to say that they win 10 games. 10 games and win the division.
How many games will the Panthers win with a new first round weapon?
Mm-hmm.
And without?
Yeah, or how many if they draft offense, how many if they don't draft offense.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna say they win 10 if they go McMillan. Actually, no, you know what? No. I'm gonna say they win 11. Because you got to remember Carolina. 11 games. Carolina is going to run out there. They've got a very good O-line. Mm-hmm. They've got Chuba Hubbard. They've got another 1,000-yard back in Rico Dowdle. They're going to spend most of the season running the ball. And if Bryce can keep up his level of play, and you add in a first-round wide receiver like McMillan, and assuming he lives up to the potential, that's 11 wins and winning the division. Because you got to remember that they played New Orleans, Tampa, and Atlanta 6 times. Like it's not that far fetched. If they go defense, like a Jalen Walker, Mason Graham, I'm going to drop it down to 9.
I'm going to say between 9 and 10 wins.
I mean, it don't take but 7 wins to win the division anyway. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. 9 to 10 wins. I think.
True.
You know, whether they go offense or defense. Because I mean, they need the help on both sides.
True. But if Derek Brown comes back healthy, it makes up for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is going to be already. If they don't do anything else on defense is going to be a lot better than last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
a lot better. All right, which is why they should go offense. But yeah, 9 to 10 wins. All right. That's it. We're wrapping up the show. We said we're going to make it a shorter show. It is a little bit shorter. Okay, an hour and a half. Hendo, let the people know what's going on with you, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
You can find me at the Road Pod everywhere on social media, even Blue Sky. And what I got going on is videos, no live streams, just videos.
except for right here.
That's right.
Oh, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, I should have been plugging this all throughout the show. LBHTShow.com. There are about 50 people in here. Go over to LBHTShow.com. Put your email in there. Okay. Sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter is going live soon. Very soon.
Jesus, man. QD says, I'll sacrifice my firstborn for Hunter to fall to 8. I wanted Hunter too, but now I hope he doesn't fall.
Now, what if he did fall? You sacrifice your firstborn and he's a bust.
Or they just don't take him. Like you never said drafted him. You said just if he falls to 8. That'd be unbelievably tragic.
Sports fans are we are it's wild how passionate we get about the potential of a player. We love somebody on draft day. Thank you for drafting him. You remember when fans were crying tears of joy and thanking the Browns for drafting Johnny Manziel. You remember it was such a joyous time. This guy.
Also, I'm just gonna say
right
about
here.
Travis Hunter to whoever drafts him, play him at receiver. He's a better receiver than corner. He's a freak at receiver, and he's an all right corner. I think. Put him on at wide receiver and let him be a game changer for you.
We might have to do a video on that because I honestly don't know. I asked Chris if Travis Hunter, if we drafted Travis Hunter, where would you want to play him? He said mainly corner, a little bit of wide receiver. I don't want him playing both. I want him to play one or the other. But I think Chris thinks he's a better corner. And he might be an all-pro at both.
And listen. I say this because if you're that guy at corner, you ain't giving up 300 yards to A.O. Minor. And I like A.O. Minor.
What if A.O. Minor is that guy, though?
It don't matter. But if you're supposed to be the best cornerback in college. But I think
if you're playing both sides of the ball, you're going to get tired, though.
He's not, but even if he was, you can't give up 300 to anybody.
That's true, too. But I do think if he did play corner exclusively, he'd be a lot better.
Yeah.
Better corner than wide receiver.
Okay.
But he's explosive.
Yes. He might go number 2 overall.
Yeah.
He might. All right, y'all.
They'll have to play corner because they don't have a quarterback.
Well, I wasted a wide receiver.
All right. LBHTShow.com. I'll plug it again. LBHTShow.com. Go over there. Sign up for the newsletter. Patreon.com/LBHTShow. If you have as little as $5 a month, man, sign up. Even if you only sign up one time for 1 month, that gives you access to the Discord, and that's a one-time fee, man. Once you're in there, unless you do something stupid to get kicked out.
And you'll be happy about it because thanks to Hendo, the book club is back.
Yes.
The book club is back. He peer pressured B into starting the book club back again.
Let's go.
All right. And it's going to work this time. So,
yes. That's the thing. Listen, in the Discord, it's not just about sports. We do a lot more than just sports.
Yeah. Same thing with the Overtime Show, which is going to happen now. It's an open mic night, so whatever you guys want to talk about, we're just going to talk about anything and everything. So you want to keep this party going, you want to see more of us, go over to patreon.com/LBHT Show. The overtime show is starting right now. B, are you ready? B is ready. Hendo, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see. Are you going to be there, Hendo?
You made me miss
Hendo
out on my nap.
He got to make a store run real quick, and then he'll show up there. All right, y'all. We getting out of here. We will see you next time. Peace.